Buenos días. I'm very sorry, I will do the presentation in English. The idea is to begin with a little overview of the sustainable construction market, because that's the aim of the day today, is how do we understand this market? How do we make it mainstream? Because we are currently 7 billion on the planet, and we will be 10 billion in 2050. And there is only one thing that we are sure, is that we will still have one planet, except if we go to Mars. But so far we have one planet. So as Mr. Scotty said, we need to change the way we build to have these 10 billion people on the planet with sustainable buildings. So this is a growing market. It's still a small one, but it's clearly growing. We see many studies showing the trend. This year there's been a great study about perception of construction actors, and they say that they estimate that the market will double its size every 3 years. So it's quite important. In terms of square meters of certified buildings, we see an evolution of 14% growth per year. So it's quite important. And of course, the market is as well growing for materials and solutions for sustainable buildings. So it's a key trend, and I think everyone has a role to play in this trend, because we will need everyone to build more sustainably. A key trend as well is we were used to speak about green buildings and more specifically about energy efficiency. I think the market is changing, because if we want to build sustainable, green isn't enough. We need to build comfortable, sustainable, healthy, nice buildings if we want them to answer the market demand. If it's only green but not nice but not comfortable, then it's not sustainable, because no one will live in it. So it's a key shift we see in the market. The environmental topics are growing, from energy efficiency to carbon, but as well to new topics such as biodiversity. The people part of the sustainable development definition is growing as well. Comfort, health, well-being are topics that are becoming more and more important in the sustainable construction business, as well as the prosperity part. If we want to build sustainability, there needs to be value for everyone. If we build a very nice solution or building very healthy, very comfortable with no environmental impact, but with a cost from 1 million euro per square meter, then it's not sustainable. So we need the three pillars, and clearly the market is shifting, pulled by the regulation, of course, pushed by the regulation, and pulled by all the green building labeling schemes, such as LEED, BREEAM, Verde, that are currently pulling the market, defining what is a sustainable building. Another key trend, and that's the topic of today, is about how do we go from product, material, to system solution, to buildings, because that's really where the impact needs to be reduced. But we see the next step, it's about cities, because we will be 10 billion in 2050, but 70% of us will live in cities. So the way we live and the way we build will completely change. It will be no more individual residential houses. It will be about big residential towers. It will be, of course, about holding people. How do we change the way we build, having in mind that we are young at the beginning, then older and older and older, changing the way we live, single family and so on. So it's a key topic, and how do we anticipate these major trends to answer this future sustainable cities market. Just for information, in Green Build, which is a huge, the biggest sustainable construction fair, LEED, the American Green Building Certification, just launched the LEED Cities certification. So it's the whole market really who is thinking about from products to buildings to sustainable cities. One of the other key trends we see in the market is that we are shifting from costs, meaning sustainable construction is something, it's kind of an issue, we don't know how to do it. It's just higher costs, more investment at the beginning and so on. And we see clearly the shift from cost to value. More and more people from the whole value chain, architects, investors, but as well as occupants of the building see the value of sustainable construction. The value, of course, in terms of energy efficiency or water efficiency, because the operation costs are lower when you have a sustainable building. But a key new trend is about as well value in terms of people inside the building. A building, 10% of the cost of the building are investment and operation costs. 90% of the costs are the people inside, the salaries, the wages. So in fact, if you want to improve or minimize the global cost of the building, you have to work on the people inside, make them more comfortable and more productive. And we see many studies on this topic. One of the great campaigns, and you will have a great presentation later in the morning about the Better Places for People campaign, which try to gather all information showcasing the value of sustainable construction. And you will have a full presentation, but just a few numbers about how we feel better and we work better when we are in a sustainable, comfortable and healthy building. For example, when there is a good indoor air quality, the employee productivity is improved by 8 to 11%, which is quite important. Temperature, very important. When it's too cold or too high, we are not productive anymore. Maybe you think about some meeting you had when it was 30 degrees inside, then we're not productive anymore. Lighting, when you have good lighting during the day, you sleep better at night. And another one is, of course, acoustics, which is quite an issue. We really, the performance drops when we have too much noise. And this is another one, it's a Harvard study, very nice. They've tried to assess the way we think and react to emergency cases. So they put a bunch of managers in a room, with a room with good indoor air quality and a room with bad indoor air quality. And they clearly saw the impact of comfort and health on the productivity and the way people were thinking in the room. So clearly they had a way of thinking 101% higher than in a classical building. So you begin to have many information and evidence that building sustainable is not only for the sake of the planet, but really for the sake of the people and the prosperity of the whole value chain as well. One of the key questions of sustainable construction is how can we make it happen everywhere for everyone? It's not only about a few big towers in Paris, New York and Dubai. It's about how do we make it everywhere, including in emerging countries. All building types, not only commercial towers, but residential, schools, hospitals, hotels, everywhere. And of course, one of the key challenges is about new build and renovation, because the biggest impacts are in renovation. So we see as well the market shifting from big labeling schemes that are quite complex to implement to new ones that are very easy. I'm thinking about EDGE, for example, which is a labeling schemes that is mostly used in emerging countries to enable everywhere sustainable construction to grow and to develop. The key topics in this market. Of course, carbon is becoming the most important one. Global warming is a key topic, even if Trump doesn't agree, or we don't know if he agrees or not. But we had COP21 last year. We just finished COP22. It's a key topic, and buildings account for around 1/3 of all carbon emissions worldwide. So we have a huge role to play in the building industry. And to minimize the carbon footprint, one of the key topics is to minimize energy use. So it's about energy efficiency, minimizing the energy we use for the building, to produce the building, to build the building, to use the building, and at the end of the life of the building. And for the energy we still need to use, work on renewable energy. Water, a key topic as well, mostly in of course, dry and emerging countries, but it's becoming more and more important. As well as circular economy. How can we minimize the use of natural resources and close the loop, meaning deconstruct our buildings and use again the materials in the future materials we will build. quite complex because the business model is not that easy. But I think the demand is more and more important regarding recycled content in materials and the way we recycle them at the end of their life. Biophilia is one of the growing topic. How do we bring, if we live in these cities in 2050, 70% of us, how will we be happy in these cities if we don't have nature? And if we just live in concrete cities. And it's been demonstrated that we need to see and experience nature to be happier and to feel more comfortable. So it's also a key topic. How do we still keep nature inside our buildings and our cities? Comfort, a key topic. We can't build green and sustainable buildings if we're not comfortable in them. So it's a growing topic, acoustic, thermal, indoor air quality. As well as another one who is really, really growing, it's about health. How do we build healthy building? It's about the emissions in the building, indoor air emissions, as well as all chemicals that are in the materials we sell and we produce. And the last one is about life cycle costing. How do we change the way we think in terms of price? It's not only about investment price, it's about the price during the whole life cycle of the building. You might invest a little bit more at the beginning, but then the operating cost will be lower. So you have to make the calculation during the whole life cycle of the building. And this is something that clearly begin to appear in the way investors think, and even in the labeling schemes, it's a criteria that begins to appear. That was the topics, but there are two other trends I wanted to share with you. It's new ways of working. The first one is about data, and that was the presentation you had this morning. If we want to build sustainable, we need data to assess if the building is about his environmental footprint, his health footprint. So we need data. We need to be transparent. Transparency is a key trend in the building industry. We need to measure, assess, and we need to make this data available. That was one of the key topics of this morning. How do we find data? How do we compare them so that we are sure the building we built is a sustainable one? So of course we will speak about life cycle assessment, which is the tool used to assess the environmental footprint of the materials as well as the building. Health product declaration is a new trend about how healthy are the materials and the building. And of course BIM, the building information modeling, which will be the tool to gather all information, will also change and bring environmental and health data into this topic. So this is why I put Google here, because Google is one of the key players in terms of sustainable construction, gathering all data about sustainable construction materials. So we will be also challenged by new coming actors on the market. And the other key trend is about collaboration. If we want to build sustainably, we need to work together and from the very beginning of the project. Because if we just continue working on the investor, then the architect, then the contractor, and at the end, the material provider, that's not the better way to build sustainability. We need to work together from the very beginning. And that's why, again, the BIM in its whole concept will be probably the future. So it's about design, it's about thinking globally, holistically from the very beginning, and it's about partnership. How can we co-develop ideas, new solutions from the very beginning? I think that was a little introduction about the market, and you will have during the whole day detailed presentation of these trends and how we can answer them and push the market in the right direction. Thank you very much.